Michael Herbert.
Like you can?
Yep, great, thank you. So, Annette, thank you.
Yes, just me.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Michael and I have done a lot of submissions over the years. Some of you have probably seen our name on a few things, but we haven't spoken to them for quite a while, but we decided to this time, even though it's an annual plan, not a long-term plan, because we were kind of hopeful that with the crisis we're all going through, the pandemic, it would also focus all our minds on the other things that hang over us, you know, particularly climate disruption. So we decided that we'd come and speak to the plan today. Thank you. I'm going to speak briefly on most things. I'll start off just our original submission still stands, and these are our responses to the updated draft annual plan. I should say I'm a citizen in Christchurch, live in Maryvale, and we both grew up here. We've been away and come back, and we do care about what happens here. The excess water use rated charge, we're told we have the highest water use of all the cities in New Zealand, and clearly we need to value our water much more highly, so we support your proposed excess water use targeted rate, with the proviso that this proposal does not favour properties with higher GV, as is claimed in your explanation. We accept your explanation, hope that's correct. I'd like to speak a bit more at length on your return to using the weed killers containing glyphosate. We are strongly opposed to returning to using weed killers containing glyphosate where they have already been phased out. We understand the Parks Department had pretty much phased out its use, but the roading unit still uses it. We do not want to see these glyphosate-based weed killers used for any council work. Your plan explains that these weed killers are easier, more effective and cheaper methods of weed control, but at what price? The International Agency for Research on Cancer, funded by the World Health Organization. Its research is regarded as the benchmark for determining what agents may be cancer-causing. This agency has classified glyphosate as probably carcinogenic to humans. A book on the subject of glyphosate, Whitewash, the Story of a Weed Killer and the Corruption of Science, by American investigative journalist Carrie Gillum, was published in 2017. It describes in reference detail how over decades Monsanto has corrupted science and the regulatory system, the EPA, the FDA, the USDPA, etc., and politicians in the USA to protect its billion-dollar profits. You are probably aware of the successful court cases in the US against Monsanto. In 2018, a jury ruled that the company was liable for a terminally ill man's cancer, awarding him $289 million in damages. That was later cut back to $78.5 million. The jury determined that Monsanto's Roundup weed killer caused his cancer, and that the corporation failed to warn him of the health hazards from exposure. German company Bayer took over Monsanto in 2018. It may well be wishing it hadn't. The company has faced rising numbers of claims that the weed killer Roundup causes cancer. Earlier this year, it was reported Bayer has reached verbal agreements to resolve a substantial portion of an estimated 125,000 US cancer lawsuits over the use of Roundup.
Now that has brought us to beyond the end of the 3 minutes, so
okay.
If you just wanted to finish up
All right,
quickly.
Yep, so we don't want you to bring in Roundup. We'd also like to see you face up to climate disruption. You have responsibilities under the Resource Management Act to consider the effects of climate change on existing frameworks, plans, projects and decision-making procedures. We don't see a lot of evidence of that. We'd like to see evidence of you running the climate change lens across all these procedures, and have you considered the lifespans of your big spend projects? Do they stack up? We should all know the answers to these questions. We favour an overall rates increase of 5.5%, and we support your boost to community funding. That's a no-brainer. We think you should have the higher rates increase because we're just facing too many challenges as a group. And I appreciate that you guys have got a lot of tough decisions, but we do depend on you. It's not going to be pretty if we don't face up to these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for the time taken to make the submission and for addressing some of the particular questions that we've put in the consultation document. Thank you.